Hello, everyone. This is Pop Tournaments Podcast, but it is not the usual Pop Tournaments Podcast. This is Questos and Recos. Joining us today, we have Ryan Barrett.
Hey, everybody, what's up?
And Jennifer Schmidt.
Hi, friends.
Once again, this is not your usual Pop Tournaments podcast. This is the Questos and Recos. Earlier this week, we threw out our first question to everybody out there in the Pop Tournaments world, and we're kind of going to go over some of those answers and talk about things a little bit. And then we got some pop culture and random recommendations for you. So, yeah, it's August 16th, 2020. We are here again, coming from a crazy undisclosed location. It is not some random mop locker in a high school, abandoned high school. No, it is not that. But yeah, let's get to it. Sorry. That was getting really weird there for a second. But this week, we've been in the middle of this 80s and 90s one-hit wonder tournament, and it really does bring up a lot of high school nostalgia, I think, for many of us in the pop tournaments world. So we were asking you guys, what songs, what music really brings you back to that era for yourself. Before we actually get to some of your answers, Jenny, I'd like to know, what brings you back to middle school or high school, or what makes you really remember that time in your life?
Yeah, so Lisa Loeb, Stay, immediately, puts me, riding on the bus, and that song coming on the radio, because it was on the radio, every hour for a while there.
Yeah.
And every girl on the bus knowing the words, and there's a lot of words in that song. And either knowing all the words or knowing enough of the words and just kind of mumbling through the parts that you didn't know as well. And then what's so great is anytime I've heard that song since then, same thing always happens. So I've been out of high school for 20 years now, and still, if you hear it, everyone knows the words. It's just so much fun.
Did you have a bus with a radio on it?
We did.
Yes.
Did you turn it on and up? You turn the radio on, you turn the radio
up. Turn the radio up, and this woman was singing my song.
Yeah.
Listen, bus driver, we need to turn the radio up.
I love that song so much. And the lyrics are great. I also know all the words to that song. And for some reason, I feel like I kind of have a sense memory tied to that song and 17 magazine. Even though I was never a reader of 17 magazine.
Oh, bullshit.
But I feel like that was the magazine du jour on the bus. And, boys didn't really read magazines, I don't feel like, as much,
No, they never did.
No.
And you also had a subscription. I have seen the receipts.
Yeah. Beckett and Nintendo Power were kind of my my magazines of choice.
No, that was, and I love how that song has kind of stayed relevant. I'm sure most of it. Here's an early reco. If you haven't seen Hot Tub Time Machine 2, see Hot Tub Time Machine 2 and how Craig Robinson steals that song from Lisa Loeb. It is absolutely brilliant. Just that's some good writing there. Ryan, where did you fall on this? Was it a car song? Was it a song of an early dance?
For me, the first thing I thought of was Triumph by Wu-Tang Clan, and Triumph and Reunited were the two kind of singles from the album Wu-Tang Forever, which came out, I want to say, in 97. And that was I feel like I spent 2 years of my life waiting for that album to come out and reading articles about hype on like what was going to be and what was going to be on it, who was going to be on it, whatever. It was like there was so much you know, folklore about that album before it came out and so much hype. And like I remember hearing Triumph on KMOJ for the first time and being like, "Oh my god, this is it!" and like pushing record on my boombox to like catch it because we had heard so much about it like before we actually heard it. And it was that was one of those songs that you know, kind of broke Wu-Tang into like the, you know, for lack of a better word, like the white suburban crowd.
Yeah.
Before that, I
definitely.
think everybody kind of thought I was sort of like a, you know, outcast in Egan in like seventh and eighth grade. I didn't really have a lot of like people I could talk music with and whatever because that was just, you know, I had a small group of people who were like into the same music
You
as
weren't a
me.
Garth Brooks fan.
And then all of a sudden that album dropped and it was like all of a sudden everybody knew who Wu Tang was and like you know, I wasn't the only person drawing Wu Tang symbols on everything. But that was the first thing I thought of. Then I started thinking more about like one hit wonder wise, and just kind of sticking with hip hop. Hey by Crucial Conflict, which came out in 1996, was such the jam. Like that song was so great and one of the most like overlooked, you know, one hit wonders in hip hop. And if you don't know that song, I highly recommend checking it out. It's very like pre Outcast Southern hip hop. Um, so if you like that kind of like country hip hop, I not country like country music, but like dirty South kind of hip hop, I would highly recommend Crucial
Yeah,
Conflict.
we can, and we could definitely tag
But
those songs when we post this episode.
yeah,
we'll,
yeah,
we'll make sure.
please do. But yeah, the other one that came to mind right away was My Boo by Ghost Town DJs, which I think was a little more popular. Like, you know, that got plenty of play on like KDWB and stuff like that. But yeah, another great one hit wonder, I think, from 97. Um, but yeah, that was kind of where my head was at through this. Once I got to like 98, 99, I started listening to way more music from the past. Um, and like honestly, the music that brings me back to like um, you know, my junior and senior years of high school the most are like, you know, Public Enemy, like their first album, You're Gonna Get Yours, the first song from their first album. Like I remember driving around after school, you know, getting high and listening to that song and just like that was the jam like senior year of high school even though that album was from like 1988 but
Yeah. No, you know, just real quick, I want to bounce back. When you were talking about hype, were you just talking about like actual hype or Hype the magazine?
both.
Oh, well, see, there's another magazine. I'm
Yeah.
telling you,
See?
high school boys
Magazines.
do read
Uh-huh.
magazines. This is an untapped market. The high school boys love magazines. We probably should make a pop
What
tournaments
was
magazine.
what was the Boy Scouts magazine?
Highlights?
No.
Is that highlights? No, 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 no.
There was one
Boys,
like-
no, that's the movie Boys Life. I don't know. There was
I
my
feel-
brother
Boys
got
Life?
Ranger
Oh, yeah,
Rick,
yeah.
which was for like elementary school age. It was all about
Yeah.
animals.
I remember Ranger Rick too, and I definitely
Yeah.
had highlights for a while, but I feel like that was I was never a Boy Scout, so I never had a subscription, but I remember that was a boys magazine too. I feel like Boys Life sounds right, but I feel like I don't know
Yeah.
if that's right or not.
Yeah.
Ranger Rick was just left-wing terrorism propaganda.
Yeah.
No, disagree. Sorry, that is an outlandish statement. And Ranger Rick is a fantastic
That's,
publication. and
you can
Hopefully-
read all of
hopefully
Jake's
they'll-
opinions over on QAnon.
Oh God.
No, we would love for Ranger Rick to sponsor us someday. Maybe even
Ranger
next
Rick
week.
Deep State Theories.
Yeah.
No, for me, this really got back to, middle school. Definitely middle school. I was an absolute weird kid. I grew up out in the country, despite all the schools I went to being suburban, and I had a sister who was older and was always in the popular crowd. So I was just always confused about everything. In 8th grade, my two favorite artists were Tupac Shakur and Garth Brooks. So put that into your crystal ball and figure out what happened afterwards. But no, like my first car, I remember driving around and playing the Foo Fighters "Color and the Shape" album. One of those songs that, again, I had missed out on kind of the grunge movement and coming out after that. But much like Ryan, I was going back to older stuff. I remember, I was 16 and I bought Van Halen 2 because I walked into Target and I said, I need Van Halen 2. That's going to be my jam. And I blasted that thing out of my 1990 Cavalier. It was a powder blue Cavalier. Go ahead,
so
Ryan.
sorry to interrupt. I really want to hear the rest of this. I just thought this was a great time to ask. What was your first cars? Powder blue Cavalier 90. How about you, Jen?
Yep.
Mine was a 1989 Acura Integra that we had bought from my grandparents.
What color?
Nice.
Light blue. And it had like the headlights that were like the eyeballs that kind of came up when you turned them on. Yep.
I was a 87 Oldsmobile Cutlass Sierra, maroon.
Ooh.
Nice.
It's a shaggin' wagon right there.
Man.
The best part about the car, though, was it had a car phone. Like Zach Morris style, like with wired car phone. So that was the future. I'm sorry though, Jay.
Calling up Lisa Turtle when you got into trouble. Lisa, I need help.
My dad's gonna see me at the Dodger game.
My other point was going to be going all the way back to middle school. I don't know if you guys had middle school dances, but I grew up, again, out in the country going to suburban schools. So like I didn't have kids in my neighborhood. I grew up on television. Literally, I thought like television was how things go. So I all through middle school, I thought I was going to make my grand proclamations at middle school dances, and like this was going to be the turning point in all of the relationships that I never had. But yeah, I definitely remember Angel Eyes. I really wanted to dance to Angel Eyes, and nobody wanted to dance with me.
Angel Eyes. Is that the blind guy song? What?
No. Well, there's a million songs named it, but it was "You Turned Your Angel Eyes My Way." Oh, it was one of those just corny white guy songs.
I do know that. Is that? I think I know what you're talking about. I thought
it's a common wedding song.
Yeah. Okay, I thought that song was by a blind dude.
It might be. You know what? Good for him.
Because that's
learned how to sing despite not being able to see.
I believe he's a one-hit wonder as well.
He might be.
Must be.
And the other one I totally remember at those middle school dances was The Train.
Come on, ride the train and ride
it.
Oh, yes.
Yep.
That's a terrible song.
Those,
it's awful.
Oh, man, those middle school dances, so awkward. And they would have like a photo booth. For some reason, I thought silk shirts were so cool.
I've chaperoned middle school dances now. That's currently my life.
Do you have the distance stick? Keep the kids apart?
No, they kind of automatically do, like, at least at mine, half the kids aren't dancing, at least. We open up the gym, so there's, like, it smells terrible over there. Like, I try to stay away from that part, but it's a whole bunch of kids playing basketball and kickball. And then a lot of them are spending all the money their parents gave them on, like, slices of pizza and, like, making it rain, buying stuff for their friends and all that. They're getting their Gatorades and their, like, super long pixie sticks and sharing those with everybody. And then, some of them are in in the gym, but they're all kind of like clumped in the corner, but there's still definitely like a girl side and a boy side, and everyone's just like awkwardly dancing, but not with anybody.
And it's a combination, probably. I'm guessing it's a combination of kids who have learned way too early about colognes and perfume and use them way too much, and then kids that are way behind learning about personal hygiene.
Yeah.
And not showering for weeks on end, and then coming to
and the hallways
clouds.
Right before the 8th grade hallway is just like this mess of Axe body spray. It's terrible.
This is what our teachers are dealing with, people. You need to support them.
I just did a quick little Google search. Jeff Healey.
Oh, we're not supported by Google.
Jeff Healey is the artist behind Angel Eyes. Blind.
Is he blind?
Yeah.
Blind.
Oh, wow.
And
there you go.
so, and Ryan looked that up on Ask Jeeves.
Yeah.
He looked it up on Ask Jeeves. That's one of our supporters.
It's just
was not the G word.
Yeah.
He was also in Roadhouse. That was like he played a blind guitarist in Roadhouse. That's how I knew he was blind.
But and so he was blind at the time. I was worried that Roadhouse made him blind.
That he was blinded. He was blinded by Patrick Swayze.
Yeah.
Like
Same
originally
thing
his
happened to
character
Jennifer
wasn't
Grey.
even meant. Yeah. Well, Jen, you were the one who posed this question, and I'm so glad you did. What were some of your favorite answers, or what stuck out to you?
We asked, my favorite thing about this the pop tournaments group is not like finding out which song wins, but everybody like talking about it in the comments, because we get such good discussion like every day, and I love it. And so we posed it to like the whole group and asked, what song takes you back to high school, one hit wonder or not, like not just these ones we've been talking about, but what like takes you there. So we did get a couple people said our one hit wonders. So we had Harley S said Man in Motion, which I think pulled out a victory just yesterday. Right?
Yep.
I think that ended up winning in the end. We had James E said Take On Me by Aha, so I'm sure he'll be voting that one. I think that one's gonna make it to the end of our bracket. And then give me a second. I know there was Come On Eileen. Stacey H said were some of their favorites. So I was like, oh, I hope they're getting lots of great memories as we're going through this game. I know it definitely is for me. These different songs make me think of different things. And then I always like the people that say some of the songs that I was super into. Karen A talking about Boys to Men, Amy M talking about the Alanis Morissette album. Erotic was her favorite, but like that album, Alanis Morissette's first album, is probably my favorite.
So
from
real quick,
the 90s.
You and I also loved that Boys to Men mention. Ryan, I know you have an older brother. Jen, do you have siblings, close, older, younger?
I have a younger brother, 3 years younger.
So you were the older sibling.
I was the older sister, yes.
So for, me, and I know for Ryan, a lot of our musical influences or just musical information, it was passed down. Mm-hmm. And screw it. I don't care. She does not listen to this podcast. I specifically, referencing Boys to Men, I specifically remember my sister listening to End of the Road over and over again. I mean, literally for hours on repeat after her first major boyfriend broke up with her. And it just
sad.
that's like, really, what is going on down there? She's in the basement and it just keeps playing. But I love seeing Boys to Men is definitely one of those songs. Ryan, similar experiences. What did you think from the answers?
Oh, well, I love one of the answers that I totally that struck with me was Tony L. Good Riddance by Green Day.
Mm-hmm.
That was definitely right in my time period too. And I remember in my senior slideshow, I was one of the people who put that together, and we used that song to go through, as like the soundtrack to it, which was kind of automatic.
I want you to continue, but just real quick, a challenge to those in the pop tournaments world. If somebody can give me a senior slideshow or senior video that came out between 1998 and let's give it a 10-year window, 2008, that didn't include Good Riddance.
Yeah.
I will literally eat this shark hat on our next podcast. If you can, you're so right. I mean, like you couldn't escape that song when it came to high school.
Yep, that one or the graduation song by
Vitamin C. Yeah, totally. That's sort of like the similar to like doing Christian music, where you're just like, it's kind of like just Money in the Bank. You have a built-in audience already. It's like I don't think Luther Vandross, I don't think he made what's One Shining Moment. I don't think he wrote that song for the Final Four, but he will forever be getting like at least one day of glory for eternity. And every time one of our tournaments wraps up. Because we always, if you don't know, we always do a little highlight video with that song at the end of the tournament. So
don't worry, Luther Vandross owes us, so it's all it's all cool.
Oh yeah, if you're, I'm just gonna stop talking about that.
Yeah, just don't ask.
Next,
but go on.
Adrian G with the Rough Riders anthem. Oh my god, that song is so great.
Oh.
And every time I see like a group of people riding by on like mopeds or something, I just go ding, 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 ding. Let's see here. Emily K. She mentioned the Choir Girl Hotel album from Tori Amos.
Yes.
That definitely, like, I didn't get into Tori Amos until, like, after high school, till I was, like, 20 maybe, or 19. But, God, she's so great.
No, that was a fantastic song and a fantastic album that really, I mean, for the time, it was just so iconic.
Take Me Out was mentioned by Sarah H. That such a great jam. Like, that's a perfect rock song. Like,
well,
so
and her description too is so great. Like, we would blare it while me and my best friend were driving around in her mint green station wagon.
Yep.
Like, isn't that just like the best high school moments when you're just acting a fool? You're like in a car without your parents anymore. You're finally old enough to just be in a car with your friends and just driving around,
absolutely
singing a song. Like, it's like the peak human experience, in my opinion.
Yeah, that song also brings me like really heavy Guitar Hero memories. Like that, I think that was a pretty challenging Guitar Hero tune, but. Man, that's where I really fell in love with that song, I feel like. Isaac R., The Way by Fastball.
And that could have
such a great whole song. Album.
Yeah. That was one of those, I think.
I love Fastball.
It could have, and I at the time, again, that was one of those moments when I was listening to a lot of like just pop music. But a lot of people think of Fastball as a one-hit wonder, and I don't think they were. And not only because
they had a couple.
And their they had a second hit that came after that, and I felt like it was kind of buoyed by the way it was brought up. But even after that album, they had great songs, but unfortunately, I feel like they're remembered for that song specifically.
For just that song. But yeah, no, they had another, it was like the Love Song was the other one from that first album. And then their second album was really solid.
Yeah.
It just never like really got any pop airplay.
Yeah. No, we had a few other songs mentioned that probably, could have been considered, like "Get What You Give" by the New Radicals.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Could have been, but again, a lot of that was kind of loading a band. There was a lot of studio people involved. The lead singer, I can't remember his name, but he was a producer and had a lot involved. No Rain. Oh, go ahead.
He also mentioned, he wanted to beat up Beck at the end of the song.
Yeah,
which just makes no sense to me whatsoever.
Yeah, what did Beck do to you?
I know.
I mean,
Really,
he's not the
it's like-
coolest guy in the world, but really, what did he do?
I like all the other people they mention at least got some sort of like flack for anything, And then he gets to Beck. It's like, wait, did he just say Beck? Like, I don't get it.
Here's my guess, Ryan. And I don't know if you
real quick.
Oh, go ahead. I'm going to explain.
Chad
you go ahead
M.
first.
Fight the Power by Public Enemy. Definitely speaking my language there too. But yeah. And Gloria R, who's been super vocal with since the Disney tournament, been very involved. Mentioned the Backstreet Boys, everybody, which was also I'm getting the feeling we graduated like the same year or right around the same time. Yep. But yeah.
Help.
The fun thing about that song is it is another one of those songs where somebody came back from nowhere. Like Backstreet's back. That was their first album.
Wasn't.
Where were they back from?
Album.
Oh, don't give me that.
It was
that
at least their
Nobody cares
album.
about that.
I'm pretty sure that was like they were coming back off of a 3-month hiatus between their first and second.
Okay, then
album.
explain the Halloween theme.
That I can't do.
What is they're coming back from the dead and they're a wolf man and what is going on?
Yeah,
here?
no, the horror themes of the video I can't explain, but
the 90s, the late 90s, you had some really, really great videos, and then some, Jenny, you're our video expert, some really, really shitty ones.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the late 90s is back when, and it happens, every generation where you just start getting those manufactured, like, pop bands coming out and just, like, rolling them off the assembly line. We're going to make these as fast as we can in Orlando and control everything about these people that we plucked and auditioned and put together. So, yeah. That was the
And
90s.
video-wise, I felt like it was almost like too much technology too fast.
Yeah.
The one person I will take out of that is Chris Kirkpatrick. He was the only real one.
I do also want to shout out to, back to the answers here. Whiter Shade of Pale from Judy Barrett.
Yeah. Judy.
It fills my heart to imagine Judy driving around in whatever her first car was, and Whiter Shade of Pale comes on the radio. That is a solo, organ solo if I've ever heard one, and that is a song to bump along the streets. No matter what.
I was talking to Judy this morning, and we were talking about this very subject, and she was telling me that another song that always makes her think of high school is Gloria. Not the Van Morrison version so much as the original version by them, but either or. She said that that was like the first song that she remembers where every single marching band would play it. Like every football game, pep fest, whatever, like every high school marching band played that song. And then my dad, Tom Barrett, chimed in and said, and Louie Louie. So,
that is
those would have been on the original jock jams.
Yeah, exactly.
That existed back then.
Yeah.
The last one I had written down, or at least just as an artist, do you guys remember how big Usher was?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
In the late 90s, like from 98 to 2000, Like Usher was the thing.
Yeah.
And
Yes. So
there
thank
was
you, Joe J, for reminding us of the wonder of Usher. Yes.
oh man, I was guilty of this, and I mentioned it on the comments. Like there was so many kids who thought they were so cool just by playing Usher in their car. I mean, Best Buy made a killing out of these kids just putting speakers in the back of their Honda hatchbacks or whatever, stupid cars, and you just load them up. That it's so funny just to think about that fallen industry of car stereos.
I would be up for an
Christmas.
Usher tournament at some point. Maybe in like 2026 or something. I think he's that worthy of like a recognition.
Okay.
If we're gonna do an Usher tournament, then Wally the Beer Man is probably a number one seed.
Oh my god, you're such a dork. Oh boy.
I knew you would love that one. But yeah, man, we really love having you guys participate
Yeah,
in these
just really quick.
questions.
I feel like we've gone through so many of these. It would be a shame just to not mention the last few.
Yeah, no, yeah,
Yeah.
Andre 3000, Hey Ya, was mentioned by Megan
yeah.
H.
Hell yeah.
What a great video.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
I mean, one of the great pop songs of the millennium.
Anytime I hear it, I'm like, why do I not listen to the song more?
I know.
This song is so great.
I'm gonna guess that's probably the one song that your middle school kids come out and dance for if it gets played.
Yeah, I'm sure they would.
Yeah,
I don't know if they know it. I don't
Is it
know if it's
allowed?
Really, they would think so.
Too much
yeah,
shaking?
Yeah,
F-
but but they absolutely would. I'm sure because it gets everyone on the dance floor. That's why it's a wedding staple.
Yep.
Now.
Yeah, I just went to a wedding, my niece's wedding, who's, 21 years old, and they played that song, and everyone was out on the floor dancing. It's like,
Yep.
it's a classic. I don't think it's ever going to die. Much like the Highlander.
Yep.
Fenicky V. Pardon me if I butchered that name. Killing in the Name by Rage Against the Machine. That was also like in that period when I kind of transitioned out of only listening to hip hop. Rage Against the Machine was big for me too. I remember being very like anti my principal, Dr. Wilson, and being like, yeah, fuck the system, fuck Dr. Wilson.
I have to bring up here. It's one of my absolute lifelong regrets. Again, because I just was so very awkward going into high school. My freshman year, one of my best friends through church, of course, because I was super awkward and didn't have friends anywhere else. He was super into Rage Against the Machine, and I was busy with again Tupac and Garth Brooks, awkwardly enough. But he had tickets. It was on a Wednesday night. Tickets to see Rage Against the Machine at the Roy Wilkins Auditorium. Nobody knew who they were, and he said, "I've got your ticket paid for. My parents will drive you. Just come with me." Mm-hmm. And I got scared. I was like, I can't do that. That's not for me.
With a church friend, and you're still too scared.
And the next morning, he shows up at school. He's like, "Oh my god, you wouldn't believe what happened last night. This was I'm just like, I am a fucking idiot."
You know what's funny?
Such as things.
I also missed a Rage Against the Machine show, but my experience was a little different. I, post Wu-Tang Forever, 1997, they went on tour with Rage Against the Machine, like co-headlining. And they had a tour they had a stop at the Target Center, and I was so excited. Like, I was finally going to get to see, after being obsessed with this band for the last 5 years, I finally was going to get a chance to see them. They like never toured. And I, like the week of, Wu-Tang cancels.
Oh no.
Rage Against the Machine obviously is like still going on with the tour, but I'm like dejected and I just go out in front of Target Center. Like, I literally just like drove in front of Target Center before the show and was like, $100 sold.
Aw.
And yeah, so I didn't end up seeing the show.
Uh,
And
Wait,
then
and-
like, 6 months later, I became a Rage Against the Machine fan.
well, and now fast forward 25 years later, my buddy bought tickets to the Rage Against the Machine show that was supposed to happen back in March or May at Target Center, and now it's supposedly delayed until next year. Fuck that!
Yep.
I'm not going to a concert.
Yeah, my
Not doing
husband
that.
had tickets to see them, I think, not here in Wisconsin at Alpine Valley.
Oh,
And
that would have been
that's-
epic.
Was one of the first big things for him that got rescheduled. Yep, so that's on the schedule for next summer, hopefully. Yep.
All right, I'm sorry. We got way off track there, Ryan.
Okay, real quick.
I'm sure we got a couple more songs.
Margie R. Yes, owner of a lonely heart. Such a
Oh
bop.
hell yeah!
Chris S. Tool 46 and 2. Foo Fighters Everlong.
I love Foo Fighters.
Let's see. Oh, Laurel EOC. White Lines by Grandmaster Flash. Oh
Yes.
my God. I want to go to your high school. I wish we
Don't
could
forget the
switch
Furious
high school
Five.
experiences.
Laurel, you are far cooler than any of us.
Yeah. I wish, I feel like I was born in the wrong era sometimes. Christina H. 1979 by Smashing Pumpkins.
Oh,
Nice.
so much
Cassie
Smashing
M. Blink 182. All the Small Things.
Absolutely.
Lorraine
Hey.
P. Ignition Remix. Whew. So ever present. The Lemonheads, My Drug Buddy, was mentioned by Joe A. Emily S. Cute Without the E by Taking Back Sunday. That sounds very, very emo. I'm not familiar with the song, but
Yeah, I don't know that one.
Laurel EOC also mentioned Black Celebration by Depeche Mode. Under the Bridge by Red Hot Chili Peppers was mentioned by Katie L. Missy S. Said Only in Dreams by Weezer.
Weezer was a big one. Middle
Yes,
school, high
Weezer
school.
was.
Everybody
Yep.
had those albums. And at the time, well, no, screw it. I don't hate Weezer. I just don't care for them. And back in the day, I just didn't understand it.
You know,
It felt like
a lot
I
of
just
people-
real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'll just just because Ryan, you might have something to say to this. I feel like Weezer is trying too hard to do what the Talking Heads already did too well.
See, my thing, I thought that Weezer, they came out, they did the Blue album, everybody was like, this is great. Then they came out with Pinkerton. It was kind of a commercial flop. And then later on down the line, that kind of became this big, artistic piece where everybody's like, oh, Pinkerton, you have to listen to Pinkerton. That's their genius album. But to me, Beverly Hills is their artistic high watermark. And
You
I
just
don't
killed
know
the
if
podcast.
it gets... What'd you say?
I'm just kidding. I said
Okay.
you killed the podcast, but
I'm sorry. I was kidding, but Beverly Hills. Okay.
Beverly Hills. All right.
Beverly Hills.
Back to
Brad
it.
S says Smells Like Teen Spirit. Another Lemonheads mention here, Into Your Arms and What's Up by Four Non Blondes. Gen Z says,
Yep.
or Gen G says Shout and Moni Moni, which I love. Every time I hear Shout now, I think,
Yeah.
oh, I would love to hear this song played by a Canadian cover band, and it would go, shoot,
Show.
shoot, let it all out. Sarah L said Lose Yourself by Eminem.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that about wraps it up.
Yeah, there was a lot of great answers.
Nuck If You Buck Susie W said. I'm not familiar with that song, but I will definitely check it out.
Well, if you need some recommendations and you want to feel nostalgic, just go into the comment section. You got so many good
Yep.
recommendations in there. To bring you back, have a little fun. We're living in a damn hellscape. Speaking of recommendations,
let's time travel a little bit. We can't actually travel, but let's time travel a little bit through music.
Speaking of, I always think, if I were to be able to time travel, I would not time travel to make money. I mean, I'd be comfortable. Don't get me wrong. I would take advantage of things, but
you'd get a job.
No, I'm just gonna find a way to live off welfare in a different time period. No. Just, but I'd more want to experience things. It's not about going back and investing in Apple. I want to go to concerts and do stupid stuff like that. But we appreciate all of the great recommendations about songs. And now we're going to make some recommendations because we are the pop culture experts. So we are here to filter through all the bullshit and let you know what you've been missing out on. Whether that be television, music, food, way of life, literature.
Yeah.
Literature is the most important. Get books. Buy books.
Books are good.
I'm going to tell you what, I'm starting it out. My first recommendation is buy books, burn your Kindles. Now I'm going to throw it to Ryan. What do you got for a recommendation? Okay. Give us a bunch, give us one at a time. I don't care.
Sure. Well, I'm going to start off by just talking really briefly. It's not even really a recommendation. It's just I just wanted to talk for a second because I saw this thing today. So it's the most recent thing I watched. And that's An American Pickle. It's on
Seth Rogen?
HBO Max. It's the new Seth Rogen movie.
All right.
I thought it was decent. I would definitely say it in quarantine times. It's worth a watch. It's 90 minutes long, so it's a quick watch. It's kind of disjointed. There's one amazing cameo in it that I won't spoil. If you're a fan of sketch comedy, I think you'll get a kick out of it. But beyond that, I won't say anything else. But it's got some really funny moments. It's got a few touching moments. It's got some really funny sci-fi-y kind of stuff. But overall, I thought it was fine. Definitely though, in this age of not being able to go out to see movies, it was a treat. Even get to watch a new movie that was okay was oh, fun. Yes, we're watching a movie right now that's new and nobody's seen before. This is kind of fun.
Of us,
you're calling
I feel
it
I have to
Palm
talk
Springs on Hulu.
So you're calling it
like Palm Springs on Hulu. Not an amazing movie, but the best movie I've seen
100%.
in a couple months.
And I think
really fun.
I liked Palm Springs a lot better than I liked this.
It sounds
American Pickle,
but it sounds like
But
you're
they're both
calling
kind
it
of-
the "It's a Wonderful Life" of COVID.
Sure. It's
Done.
one thing. They are pretty similar, actually, in the sense that they're both kind of
Walk it back.
high concept comedies, and they both kind of have elements of dark comedy involved.
Very dark.
But yeah, I would say both of those are definitely worth a watch. If you haven't seen Palm Springs yet, that's also a very fun watch.
I'll completely agree with that.
So yeah, if you, I don't want to hog the mic for too long, so I'll pass it over to Jen, and we can kind of go in a circle here if that works for everyone.
Love it.
Yeah, sounds good. Yeah, so I, as always, have book recommendations. If you're one of my like regular Facebook friends, you've probably already heard about these two books because I also talked about them last week because it was like Book Lovers Appreciation Day or something like that. And so I recommend these two. They're my favorites I've read this summer. Obviously available on Amazon. Also, both are available to order from Black Garnet Books, which is a new Black-owned bookstore here in the Twin Cities. But they're online. They're still working on the brick and mortar, but they're available online if you just go to blackgarnetbooks.com. Check them out. Support a new small business. And so I've got two books. This one, Pride, is a super fun one. It is a remix, it says, of Pride and Prejudice. So like the original Pride and Prejudice, it's talking a lot about class and romance. This one is also bringing in gentrification and race and gender norms. It's just delightful. Like the original Pride and Prejudice. It's a rom-com book, but now it's set in Bushwick with two just awesome teenagers. I loved spending the whole time with all of these characters and was super sad when I finished it in like 2 days because it was fun. This one, it's called The Stars and the Blackness Between Them by Joanda Peaches, I believe is her name. I should know her name. She went to Hamlin, which is where I also graduated from. Takes place mostly in South Minneapolis. And great book about two kind of young high school women meeting each other. And I don't want to tell you too much more than that. Yeah, if you went to South High School here in Minneapolis, a lot of it takes place there. Really fun. I will put the links when we post this podcast. I'll put the links to buy these books. They're excellent.
Yeah, and I like it. I definitely love you not saying what the book is about. I want people to understand that we don't give these recommendations lightly. You know, that we're not just throwing these out willy-nilly. Mm-hmm. You're going to enjoy this stuff. And isn't it so much more fun being surprised? Get not knowing what you're getting into, but then all of a sudden getting something that's just amazing. It's much like, ordering a new meal from a restaurant, and while you read the ingredients and go, oh, that sounds good, but you don't know what it's going to taste like when it comes out. Exactly why you need to take Jen's recommendation on this book without hearing what it's all about.
Don't know anything about it.
What do you want? Do you want her to read it to you? We don't have time for that.
It'll take me a little while, but I gladly will.
I will.
Audiobook by Jenny.
There
we go.
Yes.
Real quick, I will make a quick recommendation and then move over to Ryan again. I'm going to recommend a restaurant. For those of you who make it down into the South Metro, I recommend El Camino Taco Deli, a tiny little place at the end of a strip mall, just a little bit off of Highway 35. Amazing Mexican food. They are authentic tacos, and that's all they do. They just do tacos. It's 12 different tacos, all different ingredients on every single one of them. I know this is not specifically in our vein of what we're talking about here, but I really just wanted to give them a shout out because we're in a time where it's very tough for small businesses, and nobody wants an Applebee's and Walmart on every corner. Well, maybe there's 10% of people who do, and screw you people. I don't care about you. But come on, we need some uniqueness, and these are guys that are really pouring their heart and soul into what they do, and that's what we need out of small business. That's what keeps us moving forward. So I've got a couple other recommendations, but I really, really wanted to recommend El Camino Taco Deli. They're just goddamn delicious. Awesome. Well, the first time I discovered them, we ended up going there 3 days in a row. If that doesn't tell you how good it is, I don't know what does. But no, I've got after that, I've got some actual pop culture recommendations. Ryan, what else you got?
So the show that I've been watching like week to week.
If you say 90 Day Fiance, I swear to God, I'm gonna bust through the screen.
No. We could do a whole I could do a whole podcast about
We'll do
90
a
Day
tournament
Fiancé.
of 90 Day
But no,
Fiance
like-
episodes. How about that? Just to make you happy.
90 Day Fiance for me is like I could sit down with my wife Rebecca and we could watch 90 Day Fiance for like 12 hours. This next show is very much measured, like it's appropriate to watch half hour a week.
Okay.
It's called I May Destroy You. It's on
Yes.
it's on HBO. And it's probably the best show I've seen this year. It's we really try to not watch more than like 1 or 2 episodes a week, even if we fall behind, because it's really, it's a lot to handle. And, each episode is, it dives into really complex feelings and issues. But it's like nothing I've ever seen before. Artistically, it's really, really amazing. And it kind of reminds me a little bit of the show Atlanta, if anyone's ever seen that, where it kind of walks that fine line between comedy and drama, where there's little moments of kind of, absurd comedy relief here and there, or comic relief. But then like really heavy, it's
Well, it's steeped in reality.
deals a lot with trauma, sexual trauma, especially. I won't get too much more into it than that, but I highly recommend it. It's one of those shows too that really challenges you from week to week to think about the way you perceive things. And just when you think you kind of have a handle on something that one character is dealing with, they kind of will throw a little curveball at you that kind of makes you reconsider things. And it's really, really real too, and like in a new, fresh way. It's not like real, like, oh, it's all handheld and gritty, but like it just feels like I know these characters. They don't feel like actors at all. Just it feels really fresh. And Michaela Cole is the creator and star, and she's just a genius. And I can't say enough great things about that show. Just do yourself a favor, go watch it. It's heavy, but it's rewarding. So that's all I have to say about it.
And if anybody needs an HBO password, I will share mine. So there we go.
Thank you, Jake. You're doing God's work.
Jen, you got any others? Anything else?
One more quick one. Not new, but just a fun movie to watch, especially kind of right now when you want something to kind of like not turn off your brain, but I had seen it in the movie theater, but my husband had not watched A Simple Favor.
Oh,
It's
so good.
on Hulu right now. Isn't it just such a fun movie?
Yes.
Stars Anna Kendrick and Blake Lively. And this is a movie that uses Blake Lively like in the perfect way. Because I don't think she's an amazing actress, but she is amazing in this role. She pulls it off. It's just a, like, I don't know, dark comedy / kind of thriller. Like, it's a bit of a mystery. You're figuring it out. But it's also very funny and keeps you guessing enough. And open up a bottle of wine and watch that. It's a good time.
It's a very
Nice.
it's a very tightly wound movie. And it's kind of like Gone Girl-esque, but like a lot more fun.
Yes, it is. But fun. Yep. But yeah, it's like definitely, my husband said the same thing. It's like a companion piece to Gone Girl. But yeah, super stylish. Like,
That was a big surprise. That was one of those movies that, I gave the old Jake Wicker treatment to. I had no idea what it was about or any detail. And we saw it in the theater, and I was very pleasantly surprised.
Well, I love the Jake Wicker treatment. Why do you have to make it sound so dirty? Like,
That's
it's almost like I gave it the Paul Rubens treatment.
Ew.
Don't do that to me.
or the Tony Rich Project, another great R&B one-hit wonder of the 90s. Nobody
Better than
knows.
the Tony Poor Project. I've got a couple of quick ones and then one big one. I've mentioned it on the show before, but since we're all locked inside, and I think both of you will agree with me, if you haven't watched What We Do in the Shadows, the TV show, no, I mean both of them, the movie and the TV show, but you get so much more content with the TV show. Watch What We Do in the Shadows.
Starting with
that's a simple
TV
one.
show or the movie? Which should you watch first?
The movie first. Yeah, the movie first, because it does set up. But if you can only watch one, I would probably say the TV show. If you can only watch one,
the movie I think gives you like a foundation to work with, but I think they work great independently of each other.
Yeah. Again, sorry, that was a cliche one. That was, a lot of people have heard of it, but if you haven't, god damn it, you are missing out.
Yeah.
Secondly, a quick music reference or recommendation. Check out the band Frightened Rabbit. If you like good, just solid music that's written from your soul. Unfortunately, we lost Scott Hutchinson back in 2018. Tragically took his own life, but this is music that will. I cannot think of anybody that this won't speak to. It really is about empowering yourself and really believing in yourself, and it is just great anthemic type music. I don't know if either of you have heard of Frightened Rabbit, but really
I love them, and I remember when he passed. Like people talking about it, but what would you like compare them to, or what kind of genre would you
maybe again, it's very
like Tupac
audio
mixed with Garth Brooks?
Yeah. God damn you. No, like, and I hate to, because this is far off, but I mean in kind of like audio-ness, like how big the sound is, I would compare it to like the National. Like, I mean, it's definitely something you're going to hear on indie rock stations, but also it can be broken down into acoustic versions of the song. If you need a place to start just a single song, I would suggest The Woodpile. The Woodpile by Frightened Rabbit. Fantastic song. And last, and certainly but not least, I want to recommend the United States Postal Service.
Yes.
God damn it. The Postal Service is our bread and butter. It is the backbone to our country. What I'm wondering is, did everybody, all this, because we are in quarantine for a lot of people right now, while sitting at home, did everybody watch The Postman from Kevin Costner and decide the Postal Service was terrible because of that movie? I mean, that's like watching Waterworld and saying the ocean is bad.
People haven't decided that the post office is terrible.
I think there's one
just a few people.
One person,
yes.
But god damn it, no. I think we're, no matter what side of any sort of spectrum you're on, we can all agree that we need the goddamn post office. It's there for all of us. It's the whole point.
Yes.
One of my heroes, Jimmy Pardo, stand-up comedian and
extraordinaire
podcasting veteran, as he likes to say, the mail is magic. Like, you put something in an envelope, drop it in a box, and a few days later it appears in like a different state. That's insane. That's incredible. Like how something you can just like poof, and it just disappears, and then the next day it's somewhere totally different. That's like, we don't have to pay for that. other than a stamp. Like,
Yeah.
that's our, right as a,
50
as a
cents, yeah.
citizen.
Yeah, and I will say,
And the fact that anybody's like, oh, we should make this into a corporation or something, that seems like a really kooky idea to me. That we have this thing that's been working so well for, you know,
it's for everybody. Like
And it's not supposed to be profitable.
No.
Like people argue it's not. We're not making enough profit off of it. Well, that's not what it's set up for.
No. It's our roads aren't profitable. The police aren't profitable.
Right.
It's absolutely silly. It's something that we all need because we live amongst gigantic amounts of people, and we need to take care of each other at the most basic points. And I know a lot of people want to go out there and, I'm going to buy stamps and support the Postal Service. And I'm not telling you not to buy stamps, but
please do. Please do that
yes,
too.
do that too, but make your voices heard. Don't shy away from these basic things. Even if you're not somebody who usually doesn't speak up, you don't want to get involved in issues. This is one of those things that is absolutely very basic. What if they took away your water service? They just said, well, you can't afford water now, so you don't get water at your house. This is the same thing.
It's not profitable enough.
Yeah.
Now you have to use Gatorade instead.
Oh man, that's gonna come up again. It's gonna come up soon. Sorry, not trying to take away from the fun we're trying to have here, but for the dozens and dozens of people that listen, support the post office. They're good people. They're not shooting. There's not been a post office shooting for years.
That's so 90s.
That's going on in our tournament right now. And how come nobody ever wrote a song about that? Well, I think that about wraps it up.
I think so. Yep.
I mean, I'm going to get my low voice going again. This has been Questos and Recos. No, I'm just sorry.
It's very end of the roadie. Baby, I never meant to hurt you.
I'm only the deep talking voice guy. Great. Well, we've had so much fun talking with you guys, and we look forward to getting back into the tournament. This will probably be like a once every week or every 2 weeks thing. Get some questions going, get some recommendations going for everybody. We just want everybody to have fun. So because we don't have a sign off, I'm going to guess that this episode we just cut it off in the middle of my.